President Donald J. Trump has unleashed a ferocious crackdown on urban crime, and the results in Washington, D.C., are nothing short of electrifying. We're talking over 950 arrests, more than 150 illegal guns seized in a relentless blitz that's ripping criminal networks apart at their core. But brace yourselves, patriots. Chicago, the bleeding heart of Democrat failure, is squarely next in Trump's sights, and it's going to shake the nation to its very foundation. This isn't just another story, this is the story of America reclaiming its streets from the jaws of chaos. Stay with us as we unpack every detail, every victory, and every warning sign in this epic battle for law and order. Let's start right at the epicenter. Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, which under weak leadership had devolved into a symbol of urban decay and danger. Picture this, America, in 2020, amid the riots that tore through our cities like a wildfire, D.C. recorded a staggering 198 homicides, a 50-year high, with illegal guns pouring in from neighboring states like Virginia and Maryland, where lax enforcement allowed traffickers to thrive. Families were terrified, businesses shuttered, and the so-called progressive policies of Democratic leaders only fueled the fire. But President Trump, the ultimate fighter for the American people, said, no more. From the very beginning of his first term in 2017, he recognized that federal action was essential to supplement local efforts that were clearly falling short. That's when he ramped up Project Safe Neighborhoods, or PSN, a powerhouse initiative designed to forge unbreakable partnerships between federal agencies like the Department of Justice, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives (ATF), and local law enforcement to target the root causes of gun violence. Fast forward to the specifics, and the numbers are jaw-dropping. According to official DOJ and ATF reports, documents we've scrutinized here at Fox News, these operations have led to over 950 arrests since mid-2019, with the pace accelerating dramatically in 2020 during what became known as Operation Safe Summer. That single initiative alone netted 150 arrests and 50 firearms in just a few short weeks, but the cumulative impact is even more staggering. By the end of Trump's first term, the tally stood at hundreds of suspects off the streets, charged with everything from illegal possession of firearms to interstate trafficking and even felon in possession violations under federal statutes. And those guns, more than 150 seized in D.C. alone, including compact handguns favored by street gangs, high-capacity assault rifles capable of turning a neighborhood into a war zone, and even untraceable, ghost guns, assembled from kits bought online and smuggled across state lines. Just last week, in a high-stakes midnight raid on a suspected stash house in southeast D.C.'s Anacostia neighborhood, federal agents and Metropolitan Police Department officers swooped in, cuffing 45 individuals and confiscating 25 additional weapons before they could hit the streets. That's real-time action. America, lives potentially saved in the blink of an eye. But let's dig deeper into how this all came together. Trump's crackdown didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the result of strategic executive actions that cut through bureaucratic red tape. In 2018, he signed a landmark executive order aimed at enhancing school safety, but it had ripple effects far beyond classrooms. It bolstered ATF resources and encouraged aggressive enforcement against gun traffickers. Then, in 2019, Attorney General William Barr, one of Trump's most trusted lieutenants, announced a nationwide surge in federal prosecutors dedicated to gun cases, with D.C. as a priority testing ground due to its unique status as federal territory. By 2020, as the nation grappled with the dual crises of the COVID-19 pandemic and the widespread unrest following the George Floyd incident, Trump directed an influx of agents to the Capitol. Multi-agency task forces, combining FBI intelligence with ATF tracing expertise and MPD street-level knowledge, conducted dozens of operations. Leaked internal memos from the DOJ, which Fox News has obtained exclusively, revealed that these efforts targeted not just low-level dealers but entire supply chains, disrupting networks that sourced weapons from gun shows in Virginia and transported them via hidden compartments in vehicles across the Potomac River. The impact on crime stats is undeniable and uplifting. Metropolitan Police Department data, cross-verified by independent analysts, shows a 25% decline in gun-related homicides in the targeted neighborhoods since the crackdown intensified. For instance, areas like Deanwood and Trinidad, once hotspots for drive-by shootings, have seen a marked reduction in incidents, with residents finally feeling safe enough to walk their streets at night. This isn't just anecdotal. It's backed by hard numbers from the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, which noted a temporary but significant dip in violent crime rates in D.C. during the peak of these operations. Trump himself highlighted these victories during a fiery rally in Pennsylvania just last month, thundering to the crowd, "We cleaned up D.C. from the Democrat-run chaos, and we're going to do it for every American city." His words weren't empty rhetoric. They were a promise kept, with over 950 arrests proving that federal intervention works when local leaders fail. Of course, we can't ignore the political dimension here, because this crackdown is as much about accountability as it is about enforcement. Trump has long criticized Democratic strongholds like D.C. for their soft-on-crime policies, sanctuary city nonsense, and refusal to address root issues like illegal immigration that exacerbate gun trafficking. In fact, ATF traces on many of the seized weapons point directly to cartels exploiting the unsecured southern border, a mess left by the Biden administration's open-door policies. A senior White House official, speaking anonymously to Fox News, elaborated, "D.C.'s 950 arrests aren't just a win, they're an indictment of years of Democrat neglect. We've exposed how lax laws in surrounding states, combined with federal inaction under the previous regime, allowed this violence to fester. Now, with President Trump's leadership, we're turning the tide. And let's not forget the human stories behind the stats. Families like the Smiths in Northeast D.C., who lost a son to a stray bullet in 2019 but now report feeling secure thanks to the increased patrols and seizures. Voices like theirs are why Trump fights, and why America stands with him." Now, shifting gears to the heart-pounding speculation that's got everyone talking, Chicago is the next target. If D.C. was the proving ground, the Windy City is the ultimate test of Trump's resolve, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Chicago, under a string of Democratic mayors from Rahm Emanuel to Lori Lightfoot and now Brandon Johnson, has become synonymous with urban tragedy. In 2024 alone, Chicago Police Department statistics paint a grim picture. Over 617 homicides, thousands of non-fatal shootings, and a relentless cycle of gang violence that's claimed the lives of innocent children, bystanders, and even police officers. This isn't new. During the height of the pandemic in 2020, murders spiked to 770, making Chicago the deadliest major city in America. Illegal guns, smuggled primarily from Indiana where gun laws are looser, arm feuding factions on the south and west sides, turning communities into no-go zones. Despite billions in federal aid funneled through programs like the American Rescue Plan, the city's progressive reforms, think defund the police movements and lenient bail policies, have only worsened the situation, according to crime experts. Trump saw this coming years ago. Back in July 2020, amid the national unrest, he took to Twitter, now X, to warn, "Chicago is a disaster. If they can't do their job, I will send in the National Guard or whatever it takes." That wasn't bluster, it was a preview of federal action. During his first term, pilot PSN operations in Chicago already delivered impressive results. Over 500 arrests and 150 gun seizures by 2021, prosecuted through the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois. Federal agents traced weapons to out-of-state sources, breaking up rings that supplied everything from Saturday night specials to automatic weapons. But with the transition to the Biden administration, momentum stalled, and enforcement dipped, a 15% decline in federal gun cases nationwide, per a damning 2024 Government Accountability Office report. Chicago's homicide rate, while slightly down from its peak, remains unacceptably high, with 2024 seeing over 1,200 guns seized locally by CPD, but that's a drop in the bucket compared to what's needed. Enter Trump's second term, and the whispers from Washington are turning into roars. Fox News has confirmed through multiple sources within the Department of Homeland Security and the incoming Trump administration that Chicago is indeed the next target for a scaled-up PSN offensive. Codenamed Operation Windy Wipeout, in internal planning documents we've reviewed, this initiative could deploy up to 300 additional ATF and FBI agents to the city by early 2026, backed by a dedicated $100 million in funding from the DOJ's budget. The strategy mirrors D.C.'s success. Joint task forces focusing on high-traffic corridors like I-94 from Indiana, intelligence-driven raids on stash houses in Englewood and Austin, and aggressive prosecutions under federal statutes that bypass local hesitancy. Goals: ambitious but achievable. 800 arrests and 200 gun seizures in the first quarter alone, with a projected 20 to 30% drop in homicides by mid-year. Leaked DHS intelligence briefs highlight cartel connections, showing how Mexican drug lords use Chicago as a distribution hub, arming gangs in exchange for fentanyl profits, a direct link to the border crisis Trump vows to seal shut. Tom Homan, Trump's incoming border security czar and a no-nonsense enforcer from the first term, laid it out plainly in an exclusive Fox interview. Chicago's a war zone because Democrats have tied the hands of good cops with their woke agendas. We've seen what 950 arrests and 150 guns did in D.C., now imagine that firepower in Chicago. Gangs, there are cartel puppets, smuggling death across our borders. We're cutting the strings, deploying agents, and making streets safe again. The left can cry, federal overreach, but tell that to the mothers mourning their sons. Homan's right. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Johnson have already pushed back, labeling it bullying, but legal experts say voluntary partnerships under PSN won't violate the Posse Comitatus Act, and public support is overwhelming. Our latest Fox News poll shows 68% of Americans, including majorities in blue states, favoring federal intervention in high-crime cities like Chicago. To put this in broader context, this D.C.-Chicago axis is part of Trump's grand vision for a national reckoning on crime. During the 2024 campaign, he promised to restore law and order in every failing blue city, echoing his 2020 Back the Blue agenda that allocated over $300 million through the Burn Justice Assistance Grant Program. Under Biden, that funding was diluted with strings attached to equity initiatives, leading to the enforcement slump noted in the Gao report. Trump's reversal: expect PSN 2.0 to roll out nationwide, with Baltimore, another homicide hotspot with 300 murders in 2024, potentially following Chicago. Philadelphia, plagued by 500 killings last year, and even sanctuary havens like New York could see surges. Critics from the ACLU and Brennan Center argue these crackdowns disproportionately affect minority communities and ignore root causes like poverty, but the data tells a different story. Short-term spikes in arrests correlate with long-term drops in violence, as seen in DC's post-2020 trends. Let's not forget the heroes on the ground, the rank-and-file officers and agents risking their lives. Stories like that of ATF Special Agent Maria Gonzalez, who led a 2020 DC raid seizing 20 guns and arresting 30 suspects, embody the grit of Trump's enforcement machine. Or Chicago CPD veteran Sergeant Jamal Hayes, who told Fox, "We've been fighting with one hand tied. Federal backup from Trump could change everything." These are the faces of the fight, America, and they're why 950 arrests in D.C. matter so much. They represent hope amid despair. As we look ahead, the implications are profound. With incoming Attorney General Pam Bondi vowing to make America safe again, and Trump allies in Congress like Senator Tom Cotton pushing bills for harsher federal penalties on gun traffickers, this could be the beginning of a crime renaissance. Polls back it. 70% approval for Trump's approach in a recent Rasmussen survey. But challenges remain: state resistance, potential lawsuits, and the need for sustained funding. Will Democrats in Illinois cooperate, or will they obstruct as they did in 2020? Only time will tell, but one thing's clear: Trump's not backing down. In closing, America, this DC crackdown, over 950 arrests, more than 150 guns seized, is a beacon of what's possible when a strong leader steps up. Chicago's on deck, and the ripple effects could transform our nation. Stay tuned to Fox News for every development, every raid, every victory in this crusade. This is John Carlson reporting. Under Trump, law and order is roaring back. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.